the rewind button. Thanks so much for choosing this channel. I hope you'll settle in and enjoy this little story about simpler times. Sometimes, when life gets a bit too frantic, it's nice to rewind and revisit those moments that shaped us, the ones that still flicker warmly in the corners of our memories. This is one of those stories. The scent of freshly cut grass always transports me back to my childhood summers in Maplewood, Ohio. It was the 1980s, a time before cell phones and social media, when neighborhood kids roamed free, fueled by popsicles and boundless imagination. I was 10 years old, scrawny with a mop of unruly brown hair, forever trailing behind my best friend, Danny. Danny was everything I wasn't: confident, athletic, the undisputed king of kickball at Maplewood Elementary. We were an odd pair, me, the bookworm who spent hours lost in fantasy novels, and Danny, whose idea of a good time involved scaling trees and building elaborate forts in the woods behind our houses. But despite our differences, we shared an unbreakable bond. Summer evenings were sacred rituals, fireflies blinking like stars against the twilight sky, Danny regaling me with outrageous tales of his imaginary adventures while I devoured popsicles, their sugary sweetness staining my fingers purple. Our playground was Maplewood Park, a green haven where laughter echoed through towering oak trees. We'd spend hours on the rickety swing set, soaring high enough to graze the clouds, or engage in epic battles of capture the flag with the other neighborhood kids. Picnics were a family affair, checkered blankets spread under the shade of ancient oaks, the air thick with the aroma of Dad's charcoal-grilled burgers and Mom's creamy potato salad. Those summer evenings were filled with the symphony of cicadas chirping, the distant thump of a basketball bouncing on the court, and Danny's infectious laughter ringing through the air. They were moments etched in gold, forever imprinted on my memory. As we grew older, life began to pull us in different directions. High school arrived, bringing with it the complexities of teenage angst, first loves, and burgeoning dreams. Danny discovered a passion for music, his fingers dancing effortlessly over the strings of an old acoustic guitar he'd found at a garage sale. He dreamed of forming a band, of playing sold-out concerts under blinding spotlights. I, on the other hand, remained lost in my world of books, poring over Shakespeare and Austen, dreaming of becoming a writer. Our friendship, once a constant presence, began to fray at the edges, our shared adventures replaced by individual pursuits. One particularly harsh summer evening, after a heated argument about something trivial perhaps, who got to choose the music for our next hangout, Danny and I parted ways in anger. We didn't speak for months, the silence stretching between us like an unbridgeable chasm. That fall, Danny moved away with his family, leaving Maplewood behind. He promised to write, but the letters never came. Years passed, and the memories of our childhood adventures faded into a bittersweet nostalgia. I pursued my dreams, eventually graduating from college and landing a job as a writer for a local newspaper. Life moved forward at its relentless pace, filled with deadlines, relationships, and the inevitable disappointments that come with adulthood. Then, one day, out of the blue, I received an email. The subject line simply read, "Remember Maplewood?" It was Danny. He'd finally tracked me down after all these years. His email recounted his journey, the highs and lows, the triumphs and failures. Had formed a band, tasted success for a while, but ultimately realized music wasn't his true calling. Had returned to Maplewood, yearning for the simpler life he'd left behind. We began exchanging emails, tentatively at first, then with increasing frequency. The words flowed effortlessly between us, bridging the years of silence. We reminisced about childhood adventures, sharing stories and laughter that felt as familiar as yesterday. One summer evening, Danny called. He was back in Maplewood, working as a carpenter and rebuilding his life brick by brick. He invited me to visit. Driving down the same tree-lined streets I'd biked along decades ago, memories flooded back like a tidal wave. The old oak tree where we carved our initials, the abandoned house we used as our fort, the corner store where we'd buy penny candy. Danny greeted me with a warm hug that erased years of distance. He hadn't changed much, his hair was grayer, but his eyes still twinkled with the same mischievous glint. We spent the next few days catching up, walking through Maplewood Park, sharing stories under the shade of the old oak tree. That evening, Danny strummed his guitar on the porch swing, his voice deep and resonant as he sang a song about lost friendships and second chances. It was a melody that echoed the quiet joy we both felt, reunited after years apart. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Danny turned to me with a grin. "Remember those summer evenings?" he asked. I smiled, remembering the scent of freshly cut grass, the taste of popsicles melting on my tongue, the sound of Danny's laughter echoing through the twilight. Those were good times, I replied, feeling a deep sense of contentment wash over me. We sat in silence for a while, listening to the crickets chirping and the gentle breeze rustling the leaves. In that moment, surrounded by the familiar sounds and smells of my childhood, I realized that even though life had taken us on different paths, some connections are simply meant to be. The past might not be rewritten, but it can be cherished, revisited with a grateful heart. And sometimes, all it takes is a simple rewind button, a chance encounter, a shared memory, a melody from the past to bring back the warmth and joy of those simpler times.